Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for those watching on TV. First order of business is we do have a public hearing. I will turn it over to Mr. Fleet.
All right, so this hearing is called to order at 7:01 p.m. on September 27, 2021 at Hermann City Hall. It is conducted to consider the application for a conditional use permit filed by Mark 9 LLC and Stephen L. Hopkins for a conditional use permit for liquor sales for outdoor consumption in the C1 zoning district for more than 12 days per year. The application was reviewed by the city's planning and zoning commission, and that was done on September 16th, 2021, where a motion was made, seconded, and unanimously approved to approve the application. At least 15 days notice of time and place of this hearing has been published in the Hermann Advertiser Courier. After this hearing is concluded, the board shall provide its decision on the application within 15 days. According to city ordinances, before issuing the conditional use permit, the board should ensure that the permit provides for the public health, safety, morals, comfort, and welfare of the citizens, does not injure the use and enjoyment of the property in the immediate vicinity, that there are adequate utilities, roads, drainage, and other facilities, that the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development of the surrounding area, that the use will not cause traffic congestion, and that the requirements for public services such as police and fire protection will not be in excess of the individual demands of adjacent land uses. The board may grant the conditional use permit for such a period of time as it finds to be in the public interest. The applicant will have an opportunity to present its case. If there are any documents the applicant would like the board to rely on, they are invited to submit those as exhibits. If the applicant has any witnesses whom they desire to speak, this will be allowed. And if the applicant is represented by an attorney whom the applicants wish to speak on their behalf, this also will be allowed. Of course, following the presentation or while any person is speaking, the board may ask questions. After the applicants have submitted their position, the board will ask for testimony or opinions from others present in the room. At the conclusion of all testimony and comments, the board may deliberate and then vote on the issue. Whether the application is approved will be carried by a vote of the majority of the board members. And marked as Exhibit 1 is the conditional use permit application. Exhibit 2 is the notice of meeting and public hearing published in the paper. Exhibit 3 is the affidavit of publication confirming that it was in the paper. Exhibit 4 is the planning and zoning meeting minutes from September 16th. And Exhibit 5 is the entire code of ordinances of the city of Hermann. And Mayor Cox, do you agree to accept these exhibits into the record?
Yes, sir.
So we can proceed if our applicant is here to speak. Certainly.
Thank you.
State your name and so she can record it, please.
Yes, sir. Stephen Hopkins.
Okay, Stephen, do you, anybody have any questions for Mr. Hopkins?
What's the maximum occupancy is not filled in on here?
I know that we had reached out to the city to discuss that. They kind of threw it back in our court. It's a big space. We don't plan on having 1,000 people crammed in there by any means. We're not trying to create a raucous bar-like environment. It's more intended to be a patio area where people can enjoy a couple beverages. We've talked to local restaurants there on First Street as well. We don't fancy ourselves as restaurateurs. So we're not interested in really doing that. There's definitely people that are interested in partnering with us on that front as far as being able to serve food in that courtyard, whether it be people bringing it over or providing carry out. We just want the ability basically to provide beverages. It'll obviously be used by, we plan to have overnight guests. COVID has put a wrinkle in things. We've been trying to get AC units since April. So still haven't had them. Obviously, it's too warm for people to stay overnight at this point. But yeah, we want it to be a usable space. We've gotten a lot of feedback from people who've done tours, and also local individuals who have stopped in who say, hey, what are you doing with the outdoor space? It's a great area. So we're basically trying to figure out how to maximize and utilize that space. Again, we don't fancy ourselves as, restaurateurs, so we're not trying to accomplish that. So pretty simple, just the ability to be outdoors on nice days with some tables, umbrellas, probably a couple yard games like bags, stuff like that. So I would guess 100. I would guess no more than 100.
I have one question on here. It says music, light music. Are you going to have live entertainment type music? Or are you planning on just doing like a stereo system, or what you're planning?
So to start, we actually are having speakers installed this week. So there will be outdoor speakers both on the front of the building and also on the courtyard. We do plan on utilizing those as basically just background music. Obviously, we're planning to be an overnight stay place. We've got neighbors who have people overnight, so we don't want loud music, certainly not late in the evening, but just something to be ambiance, background music. I think we will entertain the thought of bringing in live entertainment next year. We're trying to kind of crawl before we walk, before we run, so yeah, making those decisions as we go. But yeah, at least to start, nothing concert loudness level, just something in the background.
Yeah, we're having a little issue with that. That's why I was just
Sure.
trying to throw it out and ask you that question.
Sure.
Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, on that note, no, I've talked to some businesses downtown, and the ones I talked to seem to think that this would be a welcome addition, a positive thing for that area of town.
Sure.
There are some older residents who live upstairs in some of those buildings, and two of them approached me about this. And I looked at your proposal and everything, and I convinced them, well, I told them as far as I could see that there wouldn't be an issue.
Sure.
Now with the music, if you have music, it's for your courtyard. It doesn't need to be heard 4 blocks away.
Correct.
And 10 o'clock is quiet time.
Correct.
That doesn't mean 10:15, 10:05, or 10:01.
Yes, sir.
Not one more song, because this is a conditional use. I'm not trying to be mean.
Sure.
You're probably going to hear this tonight if you hang around more often, but I want to make sure everybody hears it the same way.
Sure.
Because it's time to make sure everybody understands these rules. A conditional use permit means it can be revoked if you don't meet the conditions. And I just said this for the record, so it's part of the conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Okay, thank you. Other than that, I have no objections whatsoever.
Any other questions?
One comment I had ties in with what has been mentioned, where you mentioned outdoor music, and this is kind of a key definition that varies by anybody who's in here. It says not to be loud. And as Alderman Fairburn pointed out, and Mayor, that we have had recently some issues over that. So the definition of loud is questionable, it's subject to individual use. Though there again, and the outdoor speakers brings up a big question mark too, because that could be, considering the situation there, would help funnel the music out further.
Sure.
So that would be my biggest concern there, is the loudness of the music.
Sure. Understood. We're certainly open to feedback as well. We certainly don't intend to push the limits, but if it is problematic, we want open feedback and, to be told, and obviously there won't be any pushback. I'm curious on the live music front. I'm guessing that's a little bit more difficult to control. So has that been?
But it can be.
Sure. No, I'm just thinking ahead if that's been problematic, so that we can kind of plan accordingly on our end, if that's a path we even do want to go down.
Later on in the meeting, I'll bring up something that'll kind of coordinate part of that.
Okay.
So, but if there's not any other questions, entertain a motion. Oh, excuse me.
Just another clarification. You said speakers on the front and in the courtyard. Can you just clarify for the board what?
Sure. So on the courtyard, there's a deck on the second level, and so I think we plan to have 2 speakers essentially attached to the building for that space. There will also be speakers not related to the courtyard, but on the Wharf Street Riverside as well. Again, playing just background music for people who are coming off the train as sort of a welcoming, a welcoming draw where they're walking on the sidewalk across, in front of the building, and it's an attention getter, right? Like, not to be loud and obnoxious, but just, hey, what's going on here?
All right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? I entertain a motion.
I will move to approve.
Motion's been made and approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You're good, sir.
Thank you
so
guys,
much.
appreciate the time.
That concludes our public hearing. Okay, we'll move on. Mayor's report, very short as usual. Number one thing that, I'm always proud of the people that we have that work for the city of Hermann. All these men and women that nobody sees all the time in the office, and the street workers and the electricians and so forth. I don't think people really appreciate what all they do. But I got a thank you letter about the park board, and it just made me think that I needed to make a public statement to thank our employees for the good job they do. And I know not everybody's happy with our streets, but we can only do so much at a time, and we're working on that. But if you see the guys and girls out in the field, a thank you would be very nice. So anyway, the other thing is, starting this weekend is Oktoberfest, so, we're already been very busy in town on the weekends, but please be diligent and watch out for people across the streets where they're not supposed to be crossing the streets. And be friendly. People love coming to our town, and that's what supports our city. And I know not everybody's happy about it, but I've said before, if you're a citizen of Hermann, Missouri, you are very blessed. If you look around the country with all the situations and all the other places that are having problems, we are very fortunate in our community. So I thank you for being a resident of Hermann. City Administrator report.
I'm going to be brief as well, since Jesse is here tonight to go over all the details of Public Works. But I will just say that, yes, Oktoberfest, all the departments are busy making their related preparations for Oktoberfest. The park is obviously cleaning up all the city parks and getting the campground ready. Street department's been repainting curbs and crosswalks, putting out extra trash cans. Office staff issuing festival permits and licenses for all the vendors, and there are a few more vendors this year than last. And of course, they're dealing heavily with all the camping reservations. That's keeping them busy. The tourism department does a lot of work on the front end doing all the marketing, but now we have the 2 ladies down at the Amtrak station who are fully trained and very eager to start continuing to greet guests and engage them and to answer online inquiries. And the police department, you'll notice on your agenda tonight, we are hiring all the special Oktoberfest officers. Most of them are returning, which is great, so they know what our protocols are and they kind of know what to expect. And I will be here Saturday morning to swear them in. And I'm going to mention one issue about the water department because I've had a number of inquiries about it again. It's the leak down there on the Schiller side of the trolley lot. Our guys tried to fix it. These bolts broke. Then they could not get those necessary parts. And then when they got the parts, the back truck broke. But Jason assures me that they're going to have that fixed before this weekend due to Oktoberfest. And it's a very high traffic, high pedestrian area. So they are working on that. The last thing I'll mention, and maybe you all aware of that, is that, but I kind of want to put it out there in public, that our building inspector, who is officially retiring February 28th, he has always functioned as a contractor working for both the city of Hermann and New Haven. Another arrangement like that would be ideal, but if that opportunity does not present itself, we may need to reevaluate and potentially restructure how we address that position. It requires a lot of knowledge and skills. A general contractor would be probably good, but they also have to become very familiar with our city codes and zoning regulations, inspection and reporting procedures. So they need to have both all that kind of skill, knowledge, and administrative abilities, so it takes a unique person. So I kind of just wanted to start putting that out there for any interested parties. They can call and inquire about more details. I would welcome that. We will officially have to be advertising the position and or bidding out the contract that will be forthcoming. Thank you.
Okay, Public Works Director.
The street department has been, as Trish said, painting crosswalks and curbs and gutters and all that sort of thing. Had a school and Oktoberfest. They laid some hot mix off of Shriner Lane last week. Turn your hearing aid in, Dave.
It ain't for me, it's for the folks at home.
They've been preparing manholes for the upcoming paving that West will be doing this fall. They got to put risers on all the manholes ahead of that. They've been doing some trimming and mowing on city lots, doing some tree trimming along the streets, things like that where trees were too low. They've also been looking into a sidewalk issue on the 300 block of East First. There's some settling issues near Frame Creek, and we've got the city engineers currently looking at causes and possible resolutions to that. Water and sewer and gas. Gas has installed 3 service lines for new customers last week. They've also repaired a 2-inch main where a T-post was driven through it. No locate had been called in, so everybody make sure to call Diggerite. Nobody was hurt, so that's good. Water department, the main on Market Street was finally able to be shut off. They've been struggling with that since about August, and Missouri Rural Water Association brought some equipment that basically listens to the water leaking in the ground, and they were able to track it down. So we've got that taken care of, and as soon as the vac truck's back, Market Street will be completed. As Trish said, the repairs at First and Schiller are scheduled for tomorrow, assuming everything goes good and the valve closes. It should be done tomorrow. If not, we'll have to get a company out of St. Louis to come in, but either way, it should be done by the end of the week. There have been 3 main breaks in the last 2 weeks. 2 have been corrosion issues. 1 was a settling issue. When it gets dry like this, that kind of stuff happens. Earth moves around a little bit. The sewer's been working on right-of-way maintenance, and they installed 3 new aerators at the city lagoons. The electric department's been doing a lot of make-ready work for voltage conversion on the east side of town. We've been changing some more meters for AMR as well. We've installed conduit for new primary run up to Hermann Hill. Several new poles have been set. Last Friday, there was a large oak tree that fell across some primary on the 1700 block of Washington in an easement. That happened around 2:30. Power was restored by 6 p.m. And as soon as the vac truck is back, we plan to start working up in Seattle, setting some junction boxes around up Fricky Drive. Parks has been mowing, weed eating, as you can imagine, getting the parks looking good for some recent events and Oktoberfest. The coin machine on the north tennis court is out of order. We gotta get some parts for that. And Ben has got plans to build a platform, and we're gonna install another coin machine for the basketball courts later on this year. So, any questions? That was lengthy, but I haven't been here for
I
a minute.
have one. The junction you're talking about at Seattle, is that where all the pipes are coming out of the
Yeah.
ground? You're gonna hook?
Yep.
Okay.
So we're gonna vac some dirt out of there. There's a lot of utilities, so we've been kind of waiting on the vac truck, and the water department had it tied up most of the summer.
So your tentative schedule is next week?
Well, my tentative schedule was this week, but the transmission module going out kind of,
Okay, no, that's fine.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
have
Alright.
a question. Where are we at on the pump for the Seattle residents for their water?
It is still in engineering. I know Flynn, the water well company that we use, they've got a parts list together. I think they're waiting on approval. And then I think after the approval for the engineering, it's pretty well ready to roll.
Thanks.
So, and I can email Flynn and, well, I'm gonna see Travis tomorrow, so I can ask him about it as well.
Very good,
All
thank
right.
you, sir. Okay, we'll move to public comments. Christine Pograf, step up.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
I am here to just respectfully, I'm not sure if you received the letter that I was brought to your office this morning, but this letter respectfully requests reconsideration of the decision you all made during your September 13th meeting. And that was to rezone our 6 lots, 3 to commercial, 3 to residential. And I apologize that I was not able to be here at that meeting. I would like to be present to answer any questions you may have at a further date and explain our side. As you are aware, the minutes from the Hermann Planning and Zoning Commission prior to, that was held on August 26th, my father and I had approached the Planning and Zoning Commission at their meeting a few weeks earlier to gather information regarding how we might be able, as owners, to reinstate the ability to have a B&B at our guest home on our property again. And as you may know from earlier minutes, we had originally agreed to rezone our C1 property back to A1 at Jim Deerberg's request. That was several years ago. And his earlier plan was to run sheep, which would have been beautiful, from his Reserve Street corner across the north end of the hill there into his vineyard to make a very attractive approach on the east side, the way 100 comes into Hermann. And I'm kind of just going, he actually asked us to do that. We did that for him, and it looks like he has decided not to do that. We haven't, after several years waiting, it appears his plans have changed. So during our initial fact-finding with P&Z, considerable positive discussion was given to how we might be able to put our property back into B&B. And it was a city attorney police suggestion that we might come back before the P&Z to ask for rezoning. And again, the same way that we, as you know, the 3 along Highway 100 to be C1 again, and then back off and have the other 3 be residential lots. We have a really pretty house that has it sits out by itself. It doesn't bother anybody else. And we would love to be able to share that with tourism. As you spoke earlier, the city it runs on having people come visit us, and we would like to be a part of that. So we requested this suggested rezoning, and we were present at the 8/26 meeting at Planning and Zoning. And we were also present to hear our neighbors, their concerns regarding the poor conditions of the city streets on French Hill and the parking concerns as well. And we feel that while we as owners, property owners, are not responsible for the condition of our streets, we as owners have made sure to provide ample safe parking space completely off-street on our property, thereby not adding to congestion or traffic concerns on our hill. Additionally, I respectfully request an explanation of the board's decision to deny this rezoning request after the Hermann Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously for it. And that's basically my letter that I submitted this morning, and that's why
When it was presented, and you were not here to make your presentation, the Board of Aldermen discussed it, and I guess the determination was more because of all the letter from all the people that lived up there that didn't want it. Mr. Ferber was the one that instituted the motion to deny it, and it was seconded. So
Yes,
that's-
sir, I understand that, and the reason that I'm here is the discussion, as I saw on the YouTube video afterward, was mostly the discussion of your streets, the condition of your streets and the congestion up there, which, sir, respectfully, I don't think that that's part of the rezoning request that we are asking for.
I understand that. I did not have a vote in it, so it, like I say, and if I understand correct me if I'm wrong, here, I understand that once a denial that, you know, we really can't go back on that because it's already been voted on, if I'm correct. Okay.
Well, the question was where to appeal to and whether it was Board of Adjustment or certain court, and the answer to that question would be certain court. And whether or not, and then the decision to reconsider, in my opinion, can't even be made tonight. And if you agreed to reconsider, the applicant's case or presentation would need to be made at a new hearing or a continued hearing that we put notice of in the newspaper and sent notice to the neighbors so that all the neighbors could come back and say what they would want to say, you know, in response to your comments. Just basically another public hearing. And so that's a possibility, but it's up to you all if you want to entertain that or not.
You all have any questions? Discussion?
Only discussion, I would say, I would like to hear the new evidence that she presents and give her the opportunity to present to another public hearing to give us more insight on the potential of rezoning.
One question, you keep mentioning B and B. You want to do a guest house, not a B and B.
Yes, I don't know the.
Well, a B and B, a true B and B is you have to live on the property. And you can do that without, that can happen anywhere in Hermann. A guest house.
I can with A1, sir. I'm not sure, but I don't.
Yes, you can. B&B can be in any zone.
Yeah, B and B.
As long as you live on the property, it has to be your primary residence. You have to live there. You can have a B&B.
That's why you keep saying that, and that's why I'm thinking you mean guest house, I think.
You're right, I mean that.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
There is, not to mix things up, but there is a B&B inn, and then there's a B&B home.
That's true.
The B&B home is the primary residence.
Correct.
B&B inn is the same as a guest house.
Okay.
It's
So I should-
non-owner occupied.
I should be calling it a B&B Inn. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, it's not up to me, it's up to them to make the decision whether they want to reconsider.
I also would like to just invite, I don't know if any of you have seen this property before, but it's pretty, it sits by itself. It's big enough to accommodate cars very nicely off the street. It's actually the first property as you come up the hill from Reserve up on Second, you turn right off. So we're not, if this, whoever owns this property we come right into our driveway immediately. We're not going around on Franklin and on Second Street, so we're not creating, as far as, in my humble opinion, we're not creating any of the congestion that they were talking about.
I understand. Any other discussion here, or what are your feelings?
Unless that she can get the residents of that neighborhood to change their mind on this, which I don't think she's going to be able to do, but I don't want to discourage her on that. I see no point in doing it. Those are the people we work for, and they don't want that changed. Please, don't take that personally. It's not intended personally. But like I said, we followed the rules. We had the hearing. The people that showed up were against it. The petition we had with the names on it, I know everything on there. And the people don't, they called me. They don't want that changed.
But with all due respect, that whole petition and the whole stated petition was talking about the streets and the congestion there.
For whatever reason, those people don't want it there.
That's a reason that's out of our control as a property owner, sir.
It's not necessarily something you would be able to control. But they do not wish the zoning changed.
My thought is, whenever a property is denied, like her property was, she can reapply, but not for 2 years, correct?
That's what the code says.
So I'm kind of inclined to agree with Jim that we go back and start over.
Like I said, the main premises that I've read, and I reread the signed petition, there again, that wasn't nothing against a guest house, B&B inn, or B&B home. It was mainly focused upon the use of the narrow streets and not up to grade. So, and then again, as you stated, that's not your responsibility, it's the city's responsibility.
And her property's before those narrow streets.
That's correct.
Okay, if you want to allow her to reapply this, does she have to wait the 2 years, Dave, or can we
Well,
do it?
the way I would phrase it, what happens in court sometimes and what the hearing really is all about is the applicant and then the applicant's opponents presenting evidence, right, as to their position and supporting their position. And so the applicant wasn't there really, and I think what she is saying is that she has evidence or testimony or something that she wants you to consider that wasn't considered at the first hearing. And so it would be legal for the board to reopen the evidence, as they say, or say, okay, we're going to open this hearing back up to hear anything that wasn't presented the first time, if you wanted to. And so that's how I would put it.
It just seems weird for some reason. When court cases go on, we don't reopen them
You know, there's motions to reconsider and motions to reopen the evidence all the time.
They're all-
Now they're denied often. You know, don't mistake my explanation that it's legal for that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's.
like that. Well, that 2-year deal was put in there, so we weren't rehashing the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Do we have to go all the way back to planning and zoning, or can we just do a public hearing like we do with an alderman's meeting?
No, you don't have to go back to planning and zoning. It's not starting over. It's just a continuation of calling it.
Okay. If somebody wants to make a motion either way, I mean, that's,
I make a motion to reopen the hearing, sorry.
okay. I have a motion on the floor to reopen the hearing. Have a second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Name.
Ayes have it, so carried. So we will, I don't know what the procedure is on that, but we'll let you know, I guess.
Well, the date will have to be set and the notice will have to be put in the paper, so it'll be at least 20, 30 days away, I would say, for that to happen.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
All right. Thank you. Steve, did you want to speak?
Yeah.
Steve Bowman?
Yeah, Steve Ballmer. Yeah. Sorry about the yellow here. But I just wanted to make a few quick comments. So Hermann Crown Suites in Hermann 1837, that we certainly desire to, both Jim Poulsen, Renee Poulsen, and myself, desire to work with the city on this particular issue. It is a new issue, and the noise-related issue in the historic district. And what we're finding is that I submitted the document to you for the review regarding community standards on resolution of noise complaints as a document that you may feel is circular file, or you may feel is workable, or you may think that, you know.
At this
Yeah,
point, I
please.
think any ideas are worth consideration.
Yeah,
We're not ruling anything out.
Yeah, sure. On Friday night, we were a bit embarrassed, and I apologize. We had a non-compliant musician, which is new to us, that also offended a local business in the process. But what we're finding is that this particular issue goes a little bit more than decibel readings. We have a balance effect everywhere. And so we're learning best practices as we move along. And what bands are playable, that can play or should play in the historic district, or those that, given what they're bringing, drums, 2 amps, a large number of band members, maybe not be the right fit for the community. and what we face with the residents that are close by. So, and what we started doing just this past week is the pre-check, so pre-decibel check before they even hit the stage. 15 minutes before they set their amps where they want to be, boom, we decibel read. But again, I think there is something to be said for attempting to resolve things between the community members first before it goes to the police station. If it does go to the non-emergency number, then let's turn it down. But we are personally, or not personally, as a business, we're reevaluating what bands that fit and may not fit for our area. The issue is only going to get bigger. 4th Street is doing very well right now. 1st Street has always been good. So you're going to have more and more live music. So yeah, again, we'd like to be part of the solution by offering best practices besides what we've already submitted. And we do submit decibel readings to Tricia I do it every Sunday night. Sometimes it's the local bands that are the loudest, and with a lot of local patrons and citizens, but we still need to watch because it's the other people out there.
So we appreciate you
You're being proactive on this is very much.
Yeah, we need to continue. We need to come with these best practices that will help not only us improve, but also for the other members in the business area, so that we're not all just swallowed with absolute
I'm
time.
going to bring that up in old business also,
Okay,
on the same item that you're on.
okay.
What
all right.
you're saying there, I've heard the terminology, the battle of the bands.
Yeah,
That has
Yeah.
started, and I'm sure Bruce is going to
Yep.
touch on
Yep.
that. So it's overflowing, and
yep, agreed.
we need some attention, and thank you for your
Agreed.
submission.
And once they get on stage, it's like Mick Jagger last night. They think that they have the stage, and
You had Mick Jagger last night?
there'd be a lot of people there. Then we'd have some complaints.
Put them all on shock collar and people hit the button.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to resolution.
All right, the resolution on for tonight is a resolution number 1311, a resolution authorizing the issuance of festival space permits for October.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay, we're gonna move to old business, and as I stated, this falls under old business because it's got to do with the music and the noise. What I am recommending, and this might take a little bit to get this organized, but what I think we need to do is get every business that is having live music, every business owner or manager, and have a meeting here in City Hall with everybody here present so we can talk about the problems and try and come to a solution where everybody can do what they're supposed to do and do it right. Otherwise, I'm afraid down the road, what we're going to end up doing is doing an ordinance, which I'm not in favor of having a noise ordinance because most of the problems are from the bands. You know, if we have an ordinance and we set certain rules, if my grandkids are here from out of state and we're having a celebration and I have some music outside, I might be too loud and the police come and I'm going to get a ticket. So I don't want to put that burden on any family or any residents in town just because of an issue that's going on. I think we can, if we do that, I think we can curb the problem, get a hold of it, and just use some common sense. I like using that word, common sense. You know, last weekend the noise from Fernway was definitely unacceptable. I mean, you could hear it out here. So I mean, anyway. So I'm gonna work on that to try and figure out probably the toughest thing is to coordinate where everybody's gonna be able to come at the same time because they all have businesses. So trying to find a time that'll work will be the issue, I guess.
Are we gonna do it like this month yet?
I would like to do it sooner than later, but with being it's Oktoberfest, I know everybody's super busy. And I don't know if does that have to be a public meeting?
If you and more than 2 of the aldermen are going to be here, yes. Well, yes. then
So it would
is
have
a
to be
public meeting that
advertised
You
and-
have to put notice out and agenda and all that,
Okay.
which isn't a problem.
But we don't have to have public comments or anything with that, we're just a meeting for the.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, anybody else have, I mean, does that sound agreeable to everybody is I guess?
I think it's a wonderful idea.
I think it's a good idea. I would maybe take one more step, be cautious here, along with the businesses, maybe we could have a couple citizens to get their input, because they're the ones that's actually calling the complaints. I know that opens a can of worms.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
If we
If
only
it's a
have,
public meeting, they can attend.
Yeah, they
Right.
can
Yeah,
attend.
anybody can
Yeah.
attend a public meeting, but if we're gonna do the public meeting, by the time advertising, it's not gonna be as quick as maybe we would like to do it. So I mean, I'm open to either way. I just think we need to be proactive and do something.
As soon as possible.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
it's-
need a fix to it, or
Yeah.
a solution, and common sense doesn't seem to apply nowadays.
Right on, I understand. So anyway, we will try and get that as soon as possible. Any other input?
Maybe a Monday night, since we usually meet on Monday nights.
Steve, what's a slow night of the week for the business?
Monday and Tuesday.
Okay, I would say Monday or Tuesday. then.
Okay. Okay, any other old business?
Yes, I have 2 items. One, 2021's been a rough year for everybody. Herman has come through it exceptionally well, but I did want to give a shout out to our Herman Hospital. This year, between my mother and my wife, they've spent a lot of time in hospitals, and more importantly, in rehabilitation. The Herman Hospital Rehabilitation Unit has just been absolutely amazing. They've got my mother back walking again and my wife back again from her last accident. Hopefully 2021's done with us. I just can't say enough about them for our community, how blessed we are to have them. It's just a fantastic place. Number 2, later tonight as we move along, we're going to have a request here for the Herman VFW for tent camping for the month of October. They would like to be able to do that most of the tourist season regularly. So they're going to want to rezone their property agricultural. That's up to the, how it goes through the system like we do with everything else. But this is somewhat of a unique situation. Our veterans, we owe them more than we can ever repay. Our VFW is bleeding cash simply because there aren't enough big wars anymore for them to get enough members to really keep things going. They have to find a way to make money. And in this situation, asking them for the rezoning fee to sign up, just the fee for rezoning, to me is completely unnecessary, and I would like to make a motion for the VFW to waive that rezoning fee.
To be exempted.
To be exempt from the rezoning fee in this condition.
I would
So
say
just as one instance.
we do that when that comes up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Any other new or old business, excuse me? Okay, moving on to new business. Mr. Lieberman, Gary here? Yeah, Gary's over.
Hello, my name's Gary Liebman, Park Board member, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have regarding what should be in your folder, which is a summary of the T-Mobile hometown grant of $50,000 that we are requesting to be used in city parks. This would not be part of your one page, but I'm adding information. I've got a lot more, but basically local and regional contractors for this grant include Brake Tree Service, P Ridge Nursery, Woodhouse Construction, Shapiro Metals, Orshelm, Willman Fencing, and Hermann Lumber. And I want to mention that Willman Fencing at $21,000 for a new outfield fence on the ballpark is the largest of the $50,000 being requested. Also local, Ben LeBou, our parks foreman, recommended to put in $2,000 for installation on what you might have seen for Dino Park, to install a 24 by 36 canopy for shade and a stegosaurus that's sort of a hump jungle gym with lots of safety involved in it. The chair that I brought is 30 years old. This is cast aluminum, and this is the nature of the bench that is $1,200 of the $50,000 grant, of which the Caboose Museum Fund already has $800 in it, so we're really in the grant asking for $400. I mention this because this is my own personal chair that I bought as soon as this product hit the market for food service industry, which I was part of. And I swear it doesn't look a day older, and I mentioned this to Tammy Ellis, and she said she's had one for 15 years. So my point is, when I'm involved in a grant, in this case for the park board, I'm looking for something that is going to be no maintenance. As Ben has already said, the Parks Department only has 3 people, and he wants as little maintenance as possible. Also, for a signpost, I've got a stainless steel sign in there, even though galvanized or wood would have been cheaper. There'd be maintenance involved. So just want you to know that's the nature of what I tend to do on grant writing. A lot of people have been involved in this. A few more bids are hopefully coming in the next 2 days. I have received letters of support from Jim Dearberg, Ron Cratley, Barton Malloy, and I'm expecting a few more in the next few days. And Mayor Cox, you told me once you're a man of few words, and I've drafted a 3-paragraph proposal for you to amend or delete, but something from a government official is one of the requests that they have. And I would need that in 48 hours, please. So the application is mostly finished. Again, I'm waiting for a few more things to come in, but I'll have that for Patricia to review hopefully Wednesday, and we need to submit it by the end of day Thursday. So we've had 3 months to put it together, and here's where we are with the park board recommending it to the Board of Aldermen. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Derek?
So all the monies are gonna come from this grant and then money that the park board already has.
Plus money that not the park board has, but has been raised by private groups like Dino Park, Caboose Museum. And I do want to mention that last time I was before you, I was asking permission to proceed with a $10,000 request for a bronze statue at the Caboose Museum. One of the aldermen said, it's free money, go for it. Well, we received that grant 10 days ago. And that allows us now only ask for $7,500 to complete the foundry work and to have it installed by local contractors.
Good job.
Well, thank you for what you're doing.
Go for it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Okay, any other new business?
Yes. I'm not sure if it's new or old.
New.
Well, I mean, I think it's something we had discussed in the past. It has come up again, and I promised I would bring it up tonight's meeting. Diaper changing stations around town. The more people can get coming here, and if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of strollers around town nowadays. And people have, and I did it myself Friday, changed the diaper on the city sidewalk because there was no place else to change. I think it will never solve the problem, but we could help with it. I don't know, it's something for us to consider. I don't know where to put them. We've been trying for years to get a nice public restroom somewhere in the middle of the town. That would be a good place to have them. But any place that we could maybe get
Could we put them in the handicap stalls in our existing bathrooms, like at the riverfront,
Fine with me.
train station,
Train station.
amphitheater?
Doesn't the train station have one
I
already?
think the train station has one.
Yeah.
But down at the Riverfront Park, absolutely, and out at our city park would be a nice place for them. I think it's,
And the
I mean, if you ever
amphitheater.
had a child and you've got to change a diaper in a hurry, it's an awful nice thing to have. So it's just something to consider for the future. I don't think we can get it done by this Oktoberfest, but if we're going to continue to have this many people with young children coming to town, I'm sure Derek would be in favor of it right now. Something to consider.
Okay, any other new business? We will move on to motions. A motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the last
Motion's been
meeting.
made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Invoices for payment.
Move we pay the bill.
Motion's been made to pay the bills, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Hire special officers for Oktoberfest. Everybody's seen the list here. Can I have a motion to hire the officers?
I just have one little thing. You realize the sheriff's on this list?
I see that.
Move to approve.
He loves Herman, just like everybody else.
Okay.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Approval liquor license for the bank bar and bistro.
Move to approve.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Wormwood Distillery Company requests to amend conditional use permit to include the outdoor music.
Do they have a representative here?
Oh, good.
Sorry, I didn't know if I was saying
Yes,
paper
she-
or not.
Do you want?
Yeah, come up
You
to,
might want to come up here.
Oh, God. I didn't do it, I swear. I'm Kayla, I'm representing Andrew and Hermann Distilling Company. I'm the front house manager.
and now you don't know what to do.
And now I don't know what to do.
You're aware of the problems from the last weekend?
I had a call last weekend on Saturday, and I spoke with the band and asked them to turn it down, and my understanding is they did not.
Well, it wasn't just the volume, it was the times you played. 10 o'clock is shut off, that's quiet time. I don't know if you heard my comments earlier to the gentleman, but that's not negotiable. Also, your balcony is an area probably about the size of this room. Those are the people you're playing for. That's who you should be playing to, not that half of the town. I don't need to hear that out of more too.
Well, and maybe when we have this meeting, we can discuss all that, because I think all of these owners need to have a way to make the music stop, if it means pulling the plug or something.
And that's fine, and I do, but I just want to make sure this is for tonight, after we just had a problem, and Bruce wants to have a meeting, and that's fine, and I will move to approve this, but I don't want any misunderstandings.
Don't worry, he's gonna call him on the way out of here. Everyone was in the hot seat today.
Okay.
The
You're
other,
not.
other side of the coin is that last weekend, when you performed or had the music performed, you were in violation because you didn't have a permit to be doing that. So it's kind of coming after the fact. And needless to say, you've heard the comments tonight, the noise, the music levels are very disturbing, and it's, if you will, high on the radar right now across the board. So it's a very touchy situation, and I know that you had wrote down here, keep the decibel levels at appropriate level. There is no such thing in a city language to cover either one of those.
I don't know what he said, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I got asked last minute to come here. Sorry.
Short straw?
Short straw, I live in Barger, they're like your 7 minutes
Well, I mean,
away.
if you would pass this on to Andrew
I
and
will.
whoever else, I would appreciate that. As I said, we're going to be having a meeting, and I would strongly suggest that somebody attend.
Well, I will be there.
Try not to get the short straw the next time.
Oh, no, I'll be there, and so will he.
I will move to
We
approve.
can do it at Fairway if you guys would like.
I have a motion to approve, do I have a second?
I'll second it with the understanding that you all realize that it would be pulled at that time.
Yep.
Motion been made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So, you say you approve, okay. So carried. Okay, approve a bid for Bruce Oakley for the salt bid.
Oh. Move to approve.
Motion's been made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
So carried. Caterers permit for Loose Caboose Saloon Witches and Wine Event, Schiller and 4th, October 21st.
Move to approve.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event application, Hermann J.C.'s Oktoberfest Beer Garden, Sesquicentennial Park, October 1, 2, 9, 16, 23, 30, and 31.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event application, Hermann Lions Club Kettle Corn Stand, new lot at 4th and Schiller Street, every weekend in October.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. The special event application, Muskrat Society Keelboat Display, Band and Food Stand, Riverfront Park and Pavilion, October 23rd and 24th.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event application for Hermanoff Winery, Odin roasted almonds and pecans every weekend in October.
I want to stay away from that. Move to approve.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event application for St. George Church Fall Dinner, 128 West 4th Street, October 10th.
I move to approve.
Motion been made, second.
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event Cub Scouts Food Stand, Family Dollar Parking Lot, October 2nd.
Move to approve.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Special event application for the Big Bam LLC Camping Group in Vineyard Riverfront Park, October 14th and the 15th.
I have a question on that one. Do we know how many people they're expecting? Find out.
It's usually a pretty good pile.
It's about 100.
About 100. Okay.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second. Oh,
Easy there, Dave.
well, I thought you started to approve it.
Motion's made and second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Festival event application for the VFW Post 4182. Did you want to say anything?
No, go ahead.
Okay,
I will move to approve this.
I knew you would. I didn't know if you wanted to make a comment. So,
I'll
motion's
second.
been made and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Now, along with that,
I'm sorry?
well, I think we're about to the end here. The rezoning application is going to come up. And I want to waive that rezoning fee.
Oh, that's fine. We'll talk about that when that time comes.
Is that about the
We
time?
do it now. We have their,
Oh, we have to do it now?
They want to submit their application, and so,
Get it in the system.
Okay.
How much is the fee?
300.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. You want to make the motion now?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to waive the rezoning fee for the Hermann VFW.
Okay, motion's on the floor to waive the fee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Yes, ma'am.
If you'll notice on your desk, we received a last-minute request from the coordinator of the youth soccer. They're in a pinch for referees, and they would like to hire an extra referee, this Kimmer Hale, if you would be willing to do that.
Kimber Hale.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome aboard. All right.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Motion's been made, do I have a second?
Second?
Motion been made and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great evening. What's left of it?